Okay, here we go through the 11 Maths A revision sheet, end of semester 2, 2007. Just a reminder what the sheet looks like, and we're moving on to question 1. We're asked to find a range of statistics, and I've written down those numbers. We're asked to find the mean, median, and mode, and also the range, the IQR, and the standard deviation. In order to calculate the mean, we need a formula. In this case, x bar equals sigma x over n, the sum of the scores divided by the number of scores. Simply add them up. Make sure you push equals first on the calculator before you divide by 11. Our answer is 8.91. That's correct to 2 decimal places. Now, we're going to work out the median. Remember, the median is the middle score in our set of data. Before we can proceed to do this, we need to rank order the data. So, start rewriting the scores. The smallest score is 4. Cross it off the original. Move on to the next lowest score. In this case, that's 6. We have 3 of them. Write them down, cross them off. We proceed, keep on writing down all the scores. And then in order to check that you have them all, do a count. In this case, n equals 11, so we're correct. The formula for the median is, it's the n plus 1 on 2 score. In this case, n is 11. 11 plus 1 on 2 equals 12 on 2, which gives us the 6th score. Now we go back to our ranked data. We count through until we find score number 6. In this case, it's 8. So the median is 8. The other name for the median is Q2. So there we have our answer for the median. Let's tick that off our list. We've finished that. Let's move on to the next one. What's the mode? Simple definition. The most frequently occurring score. Go back to our data and we see the number 6 occurs the most 3 times. Therefore the mode is 6. Moving on. What's the range? The difference between the highest and lowest scores. The formula for this is range equals max minus min. Highest score is 15, lowest score is 4, so therefore we have a range of 11. A note at this point. The range is a measure of spread or dispersion. Dispersion tells you how far spread out a set of scores is. 2 better ones to use would be the IQR, which is the interquartile range, and the standard deviation. You may ask, why are they better? The reason is, they're a bit more sophisticated, and they're also less affected by outliers. Remember, an outlier is a score which is uncharacteristically large or small and stands out from the rest of the scores. The formula for the IQR is Q3 minus Q1. Q3 is simply the upper quartile or the 3rd quartile value. Q1, the lower quartile or 1st quartile. To understand this a little better, imagine that I represented my scores, my numbers, just as a set of crosses. To make it simpler, I've got them ranked from lowest to highest. I divide that set of scores into 4 equal sections. Q1, therefore, is simply the value below which 1/4 of the scores lie. Similarly, Q2 is the value below which 2/4 of the scores lie. It's also known as the median. How about Q3? Q3 is the value below which 3/4 of the scores lie, and 1/4 lies above. Add to this the minimum and the maximum, and you have what we call the 5-number summary for a set of data. Minimum, Q1, Q2, Q3, and the max. The IQR is the range of spread of the middle 50% of the data. We have a formula, which we've expressed before, Q3 minus Q1, sometimes written as upper quartile minus lower quartile. The next question is, though, how do you find Q3? How do you find Q1? We have a formula. Q1 is simply the n plus 1 on 4 score. We use a 1 in the formula if n, the number of scores, is odd. We vary the formula to n plus 2 on 4 if n happens to be even. In our case, n equals 11. We put 11 into the formula. 11 plus 1 is 12, divided by 4, 3. Note, 3 is not the median, but it tells you where to find the median. So Q1 is actually the third score. We go back to our ranked data and count through. We find that the number 6 is the third score. Therefore, Q1 equals 6. How do we find Q3? Quite easily. We simply count 3 scores backwards through the data from the top end. So back to our ranked data. First, the last score was 15. Second last score is 15. Third score backwards, 12. There we have it. Q3 is 12. Now we can progress to finding the IQR. 12 take 6. The answer is 6. And there's our IQR. Now we're going to work out the standard deviation. We could put a calculator into stat mode or statistics mode and simply use the standard deviation function. Or we can calculate it manually using a relevant formula. What can make this easier sometimes is to set out the data in a frequency distribution table for larger sets of data. We only have a small set, n equals 11, so we'll use this formula. Standard deviation equals the square root of sigma x squared over n minus x bar squared, where x bar is the mean. What this really means is, in order, that we would square all the scores, add the scores together, divide by how many scores there are, find the square of the mean, subtract it from our previous total, and then to that answer, find the square root. Let's go through that process for our question. First step, find sigma x squared. Here's our original data in unranked order. We're simply going to add up the squares of all the numbers. 10 squared plus 7 squared plus 8 squared on our calculator. As you enter each number, just hit the x squared button on your calculator. When finished, we hit equals. We come up with the answer 1012. Now we now have everything to put into the formula. Here's our standard deviation formula again, and we have sigma x squared, the sum of the squared scores, is 1012. Number of scores, 11. The mean, 8.91. Now we're going to deal with, on the calculator, everything under the square root sign. So we simply type in 1012 divided by 11 minus 8.91 squared. The calculator value, 12.6119. We want to find the square root of this number. First of all, we write it down. On a calculator, we can simply hit the square root button and then the answer button, and it will find out the square root of the previous number that was on our screen. In this case, the answer is 3.551323, etc. We don't need all those decimals. 2 decimal places is fine. So our standard deviation is approximately 3.55. Now we've finished all our statistics. Let's just do a quick summary of our answers. The mean, or x bar, 8.91. The median, 8. The mode, 6. All 3 of these scores are called measures of central tendency. They tell you something about where the middle, or center, of a set of scores is. The next 3 statistics, the range, IQR, and the standard deviation, these are all measures of dispersion. They tell you something about how far spread out a set of scores happens to be. And there we have it, our summary and the end of the question.